Thank you. Good evening. It is my pleasure to welcome you to AIF's 2012 Gala. Now, you may be wondering why I look like somebody out of a bad Bollywood movie. I recently had eye surgery, and that explains the look. Now, as I look around this room, and believe me, I can still see, I see a lot of familiar faces. People with whom I cast AIF and AIF programs. But for those that have not had a chance to talk to, I just thought I'll take 2 minutes to tell you just a little bit about AIF. Now, I come from the world of finance, and as Seema mentioned, in my office we use the word arbitrage many times. Arbitrage basically means something is mispriced. So when something is mispriced, there is an opportunity to make a profit, to make money out of it. I have often wondered if arbitrage can ever be used profitably without making money. Can arbitrage ever be put to good use? Can it ever do good? The answer, surprisingly, is yes. And AIF has figured it out, how to make this happen. Now, when you go to India, you see a lot of cycle rickshaws. As a matter of fact, there are 8 million cycle rickshaws in India. Children use them to go back from school, and it's a cheap and convenient way to get around. Now, the drivers of the cycle rickshaws are the most marginalized people in India, amongst the most marginalized people in India. These drivers mostly rent their rickshaws. Some would like to own it, and obviously you can imagine how empowering it must be to own your own rickshaw. So they go through the usual channels. They go to banks and take out a loan, and usually pay it back with two. Now here's where it gets interesting. Because they're marginalized, the banks regard them as a credit risk. In other words, the banks think that these rickshaw drivers are unlikely to pay back their loans, and so they charge them an extremely high rate of interest. And I got to say, Chanda, ICICI Bank is not one of those, but a lot of the banks charge them an extremely high rate of interest. But the truth is far from this. These rickshaw drivers actually almost 100% pay back on time. So here you have essentially a mispriced product. The interest rates are simply too high. And the market usually finds a way to correct mispricing, and in this case, AIF figured out how. Basically, here's what they do. AIF makes a deposit with the banks. The banks use this deposit as a first loss guarantee. In other words, if a rickshaw driver were to default, then the bank takes the money out of AIF's deposit. So this essentially ensures that the rickshaw drivers get a better rate of interest, making it affordable for them to own their rickshaws. And now millions, thousands and hundreds of thousands basically are starting to own their rickshaws because of this program. This is arbitrage in action, actually, because arbitrageurs usually find methodologies like this to correct a mispricing. So here you can see arbitrage actually doing good. You have thousands, maybe millions of lives saved through this process. Now, this is an example of the kinds that one can do, not only in this size, but at much larger size. You can imagine doing this for all kinds of products that people want to own, vegetable carts, sewing machines, et cetera, et cetera. And usually in arbitrage, the more you try to do, the more number of loans you try to cover, the more likely the mispricing goes away, and therefore your profit opportunities. But this is one example where if this mispricing were to go away, we will all be happy, and the fact that the profit opportunity is gone actually makes even people who are hungry for money smile. So that's just one example of the kinds of things AIF does. There are lots of programs. All of them are to do with empowering people in their lives, in education, in livelihood, in healthcare. And I won't get into all the details of all these different programs, and you can see these in the websites. They're all highly effective, And the programs cover various things such as providing computers to students, giving them access to resources, and for other children, access to quality programs so they can get better trained in their vocation. There are other programs such as the fellowship program. You're going to be hearing later today more about the fellowship program, but it's one where we send young people, the leaders of tomorrow, to the most disadvantaged communities to work with them, to understand it better, to be our ambassadors to these communities. So I think it's more than enough reason for me to support AIF in the manner that I have and will continue to do so. And if you have been supporting us over these years, if you've supported us today, thank you very much. It's clear your money is going to very good use. And later today, you'll learn more about our programs and have an opportunity to support us through the pledge as well as through the auction. So thank you once again. And now it's time to hand over to Frits van Paasschen, who's Gala Chair, and he'll be speaking by video. Thank you.
I'm Frits van Paasschen, President and CEO of Starwood Hotels and Resorts Worldwide. And I'm personally honored to be this year's chair of the America-India Foundation Gala event and to be hosting it at the Sheraton, New York. At Starwood, we admire the AIF for its commitment to helping people and think it's a remarkable accomplishment to have helped over 1.5 million people over the last decade. And for this particular evening, to have this event in support of the AIF William Clinton Fellowship for Leadership is something really special for us in creating a new generation of leaders. Starwood's a truly global company. Our 9 brands operate in more than 100 countries. And just recently, we passed the milestone of 1,100 hotels. In India, we've been operating for over 3 decades, starting with the Sheraton and then Le Méridien brands. Most recently, we opened 5 Westin hotels to great acclaim and continue to grow. We expect in the next several years, we'll have as many as 100 hotels in operation in India. At Starwood, our efforts for inclusion and diversity very much match those of the AIF. We're active in a variety of programs, for example, like the Minority Hotel Owner and Development Program, the Manager Inclusion Program, and the Embracing Diversity Program. All of these are efforts that we work with to bring more people into our community. As a measure of our commitment to diversity, we consistently rank in Diversity Inc.'s top 50 places for workplace and culture. This is something that's very consistent with the AIF's own commitment. So on behalf of Starwood and the Sheraton New York, let me thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for your support, and thank you for your commitment to making the world a better place. I hope you enjoy your evening.